All right, guys, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be touching on everything you need to know for the Cognizant Classic, formerly known as the Honda Classic. Giving you guys my favorite plays, giving you guys a first look build as well. Let's go on and get into it. But first, just a quick recap from last week. So here's kind of a decent summary of showing you guys how the 9-to-5 data did against, the Draftkings data and really the field. So we take a peek at the leverage rank versus the ownership rank. We can see about 5 spots better. So if you just stuck to the 9-to-5 leverage rank, we were about 5 spots better than the field. And then if you look at it in terms of model rank compared to salary rank, about 2.5 spots better as well. So a very good day data wise, and that actually gets better when we make that in terms of top 10. And in terms of top 10s here, I'm just pulling up the write-up here for you guys. The average model rank of golfers that finished in the top 10 was about 36, whereas the average salary rank was 47.5. So you guys, we saw a huge edge there. And that's kind of the situation with those lesser field events, is that we typically gain a big edge. Justin Lauer, who to me was an easy play, begging people to bet him to make the cut or top 40, one of those two. But I was just really shocked at the ownership, less than 10%. You have, someone like me that's telling people he's a great play, he's clearly mispriced, and he still becomes under 10%. Some of the other plays that were popping up, I know Goddard up withdrew, but much more risky. You could go with the safer and better play in Justin Lauer, kind of a strange week. And Lauer really helped the week by far. Yeager as well, that was an easy play. Dietrich that was annoying. Toasty, if he makes the cut, that becomes a much, much better week than it was. But it was still a very solid week. Over 10 units of profit last week, which is great. No complaints there. If we take a peek at this week, so yes, this was formerly known as the Honda Classic. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of this event. I went to it. A bunch of us in the industry did something called the DFS Open, which basically a lot of people that did fantasy golf got together to play some golf and whatnot. My team took second, loss in the playoff, but it was fun. But really, the tournament, I don't know, the course is kind of a snoozer for whatever reason. Now, the field is going to be a little bit better. People are going to hype this up. It's just not that fun of a course. It's more bogey avoidance type of course, total driving, ball striking. That's what we're going to be looking at. It is set up for kind of fun golf. Sanjay Ames' win that year was pretty awesome with his clutch shot, but I don't know. And looking at the field, it's just kind of a straightforward week. So that's a good thing for us this week. And with that, let's go ahead and get into what I'm talking about here. So pricing wise, I don't really get why Rory is as high priced as he is compared to the field, just given the way he's been playing recently. So the key stats that we're going to be looking at, and let's just start with that, is bogey avoidance, total driving, ball striking, wedge. Okay. And then also we are looking at strokes gain approach. Obviously, we're looking at the normal stats as always: strokes gain total, strokes gain tee to green, effective scoring. We're looking at that stuff. And I know Rory has one start on the 2024 season, but we also include previous data. And don't get me wrong, he probably should be the highest priced player in the slate. I just don't think it should be that big of a salary spread. There's no reason for it. And looking at the top stat fits, the thing that stands out to me is that no one is a perfect stat fit. No one is checking all the boxes stat fit wise. Brandon Wu, decent. Everyone, just someone has a flaw in their game for stat fit, which last week we didn't exactly see that. If you wanted to look at something like specialist instead, you could. And really what I care about when looking at specialists, and that is going to be how golfers have finished on hard scoring tracks over their past few starts. Okay. Alexander Bajor popping up in there, but we got Eric Cole. He's going to be someone we're ending up on. Mark Hubbard, Tom Kim, Rory, which you would think he'd be number one, but he's not. He went through some rough stretches there. Benny Ann, Thomas Dietrich, Cameron Young. So it's not like we'd be avoiding Rory or Cameron Young, but again, I'll get into that in a second. Looking at their pricing, kind of their lack of course history, it makes sense why the data doesn't exactly like them as plays. So we jump into golfers that have made more than one start here over the past 4 years. Now, it is a new tournament name, but it is still going to be the same course. The only difference for this year is that they made a par 4 into a par 5. That's the only difference that we had this week. So looking at golfers that have the best tournament history here, Lee Hodges actually popping up in there. 2 straight good finishes here. Russell Henley, 2 straight good finishes here. Daniel Berger, when he was healthy, played well here. Dylan Moo. Shane Lowry is really the best in terms of course history, I would say, just given that he's had 4 starts here in the past 4 years. All of them pretty solid finishes. Sam Ryder, not bad. We got Mark Hubbard in there as well. He's kind of popping up in there. That's very solid. Didn't have the best Sunday, I remember, in 2020, but still not a bad play. Seb Straka popping up in there as well. But that's the thing. Typically we don't have a lot of golfers with a lot of course history here, because this is an event that golfers typically want to play in. I kind of want to go back to looking at the past results or the past winners. I wouldn't say that these were random. Chris Kirk, Straka, Matt Jones, even if we go back further, like they're not random winners in the sense that no one was on them. But at the same time, it's not like they were clearly great outright winners. They were good enough plays to be on in DFS and betting wise as well, had you happen to like that player that week. But it wasn't like I need to bet this guy outright with. They're just kind of decent plays. The last 3 winners have been decent. It's not like they're bad like most of the winners thus far this season. It was closer to Jake Knapp last week, where, you know, probably people were chasing the fun narrative of him winning a little bit more. His name kind of stood out in that field. But like on paper, he's a player you could have ended up on, and that's kind of what we have here. Okay, Chris Kirk, Straka, and Matt Jones, that's exactly what that was. Sungjae actually kind of an outlier in that regard, where he was a great stat fit. Now, we have seen the course play a little bit easier over the past 3 years. I do think that's worth calling out as well. But then last, let's go ahead and take a peek at the golfers coming in the best recent form. So looking at it right now, we got Rory, we got Cameron Young, no shot there, but we got Bo Hosler popping up in there, Denny, JT Poston, Russell Henley, Benny Yan, EVR now after a few good starts. Jaeger has really been playing some great golf as well. The only reason why he's getting hurt lately is that 71st place finish. That's it. Other than that, been really good. And like that was still a made cut for Jaeger. So he's going to be a player that I'm looking at pretty heavily as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the top plays this week. Now, one thing that I think is very noteworthy this week, and it's kind of like last week, we have no core plays. We have no data tag core plays here. Okay, which is just based off of historical data, which golfers are most likely to pay off their price tag, essentially, which golfers are coming in with the best, course history, stat fit, recent form, and all that. We have none of those players that are coming in checking all the boxes. So that is definitely interesting. We had that last week as well. But in terms of pay up, this is what I mean, guys. Like, do we really need to pay that price tag for Rory when he's the 4th best pick this week? Like, to me, Eric Cole is a player that really does make a lot of sense. 2nd place finish at this event last year. You look at that was a playoff loss that he had, right? Like, he easily could have been the defending champ. And in a weird way, it's kind of a good thing. We don't have to worry about those nuances that come with being the defending champ there. Key stat wise, we're going to see this a lot. I think total driving, ball striking could be better for him, but we look at wedge scoring for whatever reason. I think it's just golfers tend to have to lay up a little bit more. It's just kind of the greens and how pins are placed. A lot of golfers end up having to score with their wedge, and so that is a stat that typically does pop up, and so it's nice to see this popping up there. But bogey avoidance, that's really one of the most key metrics this week, is just golfers that are not making mistakes are going to play well. 10th in the field there, so very good stuff there. Really one bad start over his past year pretty much, so it doesn't shock me that he is coming in as the best specialist or one of the best specialists and the best pick in the 9 to 5 mile. That might shock some people, but no, he kind of looks like a clear-cut player that we should be going out of our way to play this week. And what I like best about Eric Cole too is that even after that miscut that he had, which was just sandwiched in there, from a bunch of good starts. So it's just an outlier. We can see that he bounced back at a 15th place finish. Not the best at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, but not terrible. And then at the Genesis Invitational, a top 10. So yeah, I really like what we're getting from him. So he's going to be someone that I think we can end up on pretty easily. Russell Henley is another player that's really popping up as well. The worry with Russell Henley is that thus far this season, and I don't really care about a lot of the data points from this season for a lot of these golfers, simply because sometimes it just depends on the course, how you're trying to attack that course. I would like to see him a little bit better in ball striking and total driving, but I can kind of write it off when his wedge scoring is very good and when his bogey avoidance is very good. Tack on the fact that he does have tremendous course history, a 3rd and an 8th here. He's the 2nd best specialist. The length is not something that worries me at this track with someone like him. He is a golfer that I firmly think we need to be going out of our way to play as well. And with the pricing as soft as it is, we could fit both of those 2 players into our builds pretty easily. The issue that we're going to have is we got some good plays like JT Poston, who really, besides that missed cut at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, had been playing some great golf. That was very much an outlier performance from Poston. He was a chalk letdown that week. He is someone that if you're kind of playing Russell Henley, he kind of fits the bill of a Russell Henley type play, so I do like him as a play as well. And then Benny Yan is really popping up as a play as well. Looking at golfers that have course ties to Florida area. Now, I need to update this with the data from last year's rookies and this year's rookies in terms of location, local ties and whatnot. But Benny Yan is a player that does have local ties, so I'd love to see that from him. We can see he's the 5th best pick in the 9 to 5 model. really good result at this tournament as well. 21st place finish and 4th place finish. The one worry, bogey avoidance. We have seen that, he kind of struggles with the putter, but he's been pretty good in terms of ball strike and wedge scoring. Recent form has been pretty darn spectacular as well. He is someone that's definitely due for a victory and really should have had a victory already. So kind of unfortunate stuff there for Benny Ann to not have a victory, but he is looking like a tremendous play this week. And so to me, if you are not ending up on Russell Henley or Eric Cole, Benny Ann would be the next logical option. Then in terms of pay-up plays that I'm going out of my way to play, I don't know if we need to get there, but like Shane Lowry could be a good play. He's typically someone that does play strong golf. I mean, the miscut at the American Express wasn't a bad start, minus 12, right? And we do love the course history. And when we look at location, he has a little bit of local ties, has some of the best course history in the field to me. 5th, 2nd, 36th, 21st. Like, I value that. 4 straight made cuts at the tournament a little bit more than someone like even, let's say, Benny Ann, honestly. So I do like him as a play, but it's clear that Benny Ann is a better play. And then from there, I do just want to call out Chris Kirk and then Keith Mitchell as well. So Chris Kirk is a play that he obviously won last year, 7th place the year before that, 25th place finish the year before that. He is still coming in as a pretty good stat fit, 7th best in the field, looking really good. Bogey avoidance, 5th best in the field. A little bit of worry, I guess, with total driving, but not really. That he's going to be pretty accurate. You can't be making mental mistakes, and the bogey avoidance kind of points to that. So he's another very good play. Now, the biggest concern with him is that he is coming in off of a miscut at the Genesis Invitational. Okay, that was a limited field event, and he did not play well. And so that's where he's getting knocked. That's where he's not as good of a play as some of those other golfers I just mentioned. Keith Mitchell is going to be a good play, obviously a former champ. I really don't mind him as a play, but the play that stands out to me again this week is going to be Stefan Jaeger. I don't get this pricing for him. We got Justin Lauer, who I'll touch on again this week. His price doesn't really make sense to me as well, but Jaeger is someone this week that, 2 straight made cuts at this track, obviously been playing some extremely good golf, gets knocked by that missed cut, but other than that, have been playing extremely well. 6th best specialist in the field, 6th best pick in the 9-5 model. Love the fact that he had that 3rd place finish last week. And man, it's just at this price tag, like, I don't know why we wouldn't play him. Like, he's been showing the upside, and like that'd be the biggest reason for me as to why I wouldn't want to play, let's say, Russell Henley, when you could easily get Jaeger, who kind of seems like just as good of a play, to be honest with you. The AT&T Pebble Beach, that was not a good start. Okay, but really, besides that, I've been playing well. So he's someone I'm definitely trying to go out of my way to roster this week. And then from there, we really got to call attention to both Bo Hosler and Alex Noren. We look at the course history, very good results from them, no miscuts out of them. Bo Hosler been a little bit too sporadic with his total driving and ball striking, but not too much of a worry, especially compared to the field. Like, he still ranks as a top 23 stat fit in the field. Looking at Alex Noren, a little bit worse actually stat fit wise, but bogey avoidance, again, that's a stat I really want to dial in on. 2nd best in the field. So those 2 are coming in as top 12 picks in the 9-5 mile. 2 players that I certainly want to be getting into at their price tags. And then in terms of values, guys, there are a couple that I want to call out, both Lee Hodges and Justin Lauer. So we look at Lee Hodges, obviously has good course history at this track. Stat fit wise could be much better, but still ranks out as 46th best pick in the 9-5 miles. So someone that should be able to make the cut. And I would argue, like, sure, he's not as big of an outlier as he was last week, given the quality of field that we have, but he's only $300 more expensive. Like, he was a clear-cut play last week, probably arguably like $2,000 too cheap last week. I would still say he's about $1,000 too cheap this week. Just give him the form that he's been in. 5 straight make cuts in a row. Look at the stat fit. Top 15 in the field stat fit wise. Like, we'd love to see that there from him. Specialist wise, that does worry me. But he has 1 star at this track, 64th place finish. Love that there from him. Recent form wise, even though he has made 5 straight cuts in a row, 50 best in the field, but at this price tag, that is certainly something that we love. And I do think it's worth mentioning, like, Dylan Wu, not terrible, not great. At this price tag, I think he's someone you could end up on to close out a build. Andrew Novak's been someone that's certainly been playing well. Kind of a strange price tag for him. And then I don't like these plays. I'm not telling you guys to play them, but I do think it's someone worth calling out the course history for Kevin Streelman and Zach Johnson. So I mentioned, like, build-wise, it was somewhat simple, I thought, in terms of like where we could be going. I do think we want to be playing Jaeger, but I do think we want to be playing Lauer as well. Just at that price tag, he certainly is just too cheap. 9 out of 12 made cuts now. You look at this season, made all the cuts thus far this season. Had that big pop finish last week, which certainly exceeded my expectations, but again, it's not too shocking, especially given the field that we had last week. In terms of like plays that we need to be on, you guys saw I really passed over the 7K range, and that's where I'm kind of okay with the lineup processes that I've been ending up on thus far. Now, I will say some plays that I like that I didn't mention. Cheston Hadley, I'm fine with that as price tag. Brandon Wu, I definitely think is a good play at his price tag as well. You look at his missed cuts, they've come from like one bad start there, played decently well at the American Express. Like I think he's a great play at his price tag as well. And then I'll just highlight those three for you guys here. Carson Young is another player that's popping up as a clear cut value play. So wow, that's something I didn't catch on my first glance through. Yeah, he's probably someone I'm gonna be playing. But Brandon Wu, Chesson Hadley, they're two players that really come in looking like good plays. Chesson Hadley, it's a weird thing to say, but kind of a poor man's Russell Henley, if you will. I'm fine with it. It's a pretty strong play. So yeah, Carson Young, 4 straight made cuts now. Top 10 finish at the Mexico Open. Made cut this tournament last year. Yeah, I think at that price tag, he's certainly someone we could be playing. And then we have 8K left over. Does to me feel like somewhat of a dead range. I will say Adam Svensson is someone that is popping up a decent amount stat fit wise. The concern with him, and he's not really a cash play, is the concern for me. It's that he's more of a GPP play, just given that recent form. It's been a little bit too hit or miss to trust, but in terms of a first look build, I'd be fine including him in there for you guys. Like a very strong first look build, I would say. Is this going to be the build that I end up on? Probably not, but I also do feel pretty good about it. Again, no need to try to pay up for Rory, I don't think, this week, especially given the good lineups we can make. Now, there is certainly a lot of value to pay up for Rory. If you guys want to do so, I wouldn't blame you. But if you guys want access to some of the tools I just showed you in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. The fantasy golf membership and all the tools available at 9to5sports are available at just $10 a month. I priced it that way for you guys so that you guys can really benefit from that. But that's going to be all for today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. Let's have another good week. Fingers are crossed. Really excited for next week, but again, this week it's okay. It's okay. I probably won't be going too heavy. Thanks for watching. As always, let's keep cashing.